All right, June 4th, Rod and Gun Club with Bob and Don.
When I started working here, Joe Maddox had been here probably 6 or 7 years when I started, and had a guy named Newt Alexander who worked here at the time. Newt was a musician. Skinny Bud, who was a musician. I had a lot of those guys way back years ago. Newt also was a driver for Eddie bootlegging, and Newt decided to go on his own, quit working for Eddie and go on his own. So he quit, and Eddie decided he had to keep Newt from getting killed. He said, well, you can't do that. You can't go start out on your own. You got to be with a bunch that's in, you know. So he had Newt picked up when he come into Indiana out of Kentucky. There's hauling out of Harlan County, Kentucky at the time. So he come across the border and they stopped him, arrested him. I got to get a year in jail. And I've got a letter. I think it's upstairs. I don't think it was in the office. I'll have to try to find that. He wrote Eddie a letter and said, when I get out of here, I'll come back to work for you. I don't think I want to take a chance at this anymore. But he told about different people was in jail with him. A couple guys was in there from Indianapolis that had committed murder. And he said, when I get released, I'll stay here probably a week or two. He said, one of the guys here, his girlfriend comes in to see him all the time. And she brought a girlfriend of hers. And so she invited me to stay at her house for a little while after I get out. So he said, probably a week or two after I get out before I come home. But he, no Newt, he used to have these neatest looking cars, convertibles, and he had a Hudson Hornet, or yellow back then. Boy, it was a pretty car. And I said, well, why do you always have them fancy convertibles? You know, you pick up the girls in there. And I said, you pick up a lot of girls? And he said, yeah. He said, I get quite a few. He said, the last time I see him, I take him up to old Doc Baldridge, give him an abortion. And he said, that's usually the last time I see him. I pay Doc and leave. Anyhow, he was a character. And Gary Cooper, he worked here for several years. And
is Gary still alive?
No, he died down in Kentucky, and his wife had him cremated and threw him in a flower bed down there somewhere, and that was it.
Huh.
Yeah, she didn't bring him back or anything. I don't know what happened. He had a heart attack or something down there, so no use transporting him back. Wasn't worth much then. I was trying to think who else we had.
We had Dick Reed for a while.
Dick Weed.
Whatever happened to him?
Dick Weed. He's still alive. He's around Clinton.
Reed?
Dick Weed, I called him, but yeah, it was Reed.
Well, Jack Guilfoyle.
Old Jack. There's the mayor. Yeah, he worked for me for 10 years. Jack, he's a good guy. He's a dandy boy. And Brad Race, you remember Brad? Had a guy named Pat Weaver worked here. He worked at Hallman's, and he worked here on weekends. And always before he'd leave, he had a girlfriend. He'd park out there sometimes. Anyhow, before he'd leave, after he got everything done, he'd call his wife. There's a phone on the wall hung over at the end of the bar. He'd be standing there facing the wall with that phone. So old Brad Race, he drops his pants and whips it a couple of times and sticks it in Weaver's ass. And Weaver says, "You son of a bitch." And his wife hung up on him. So he said it. Yeah. So Brad Race, he's a nutcase. He's the one that he had the laundromat in Clinton, had a lot of slot machines in there, and they raided him. And they come in and he said, I worked at Rod and Gun Club. He said they had gambling there all the time, and I thought it was legal. And Phil Sanders called me. Said, hey, they were going to come down and raid you. He said, where the hell you got all that gambling stuff at? I said, I don't have any gambling stuff here. He said, well, I told them guys, I've been all through that, but you don't have any gambling stuff. I said, well, we raided that guy, and he said he worked there, and said he thought it was legal because he got all that gambling stuff. Yeah, we've had some dandies work here.
What was the tall fella? Had the son that went to one of the service academies, West Point or Air Force Academy, Bensley.
Charlie Bensley, yeah. He was here for years. He's about 90. And I hated it. I had to let him go. He got real arrogant, and Buddy White and John Scott and them guys walked in one night. They was here the day before, a couple of days before, and they didn't tip him or something, and he was standing there by the bar, and they walked in, a place full of people. He said, "There's them sons of bitches with the short arms and deep pockets." They stood there, almost turned around and left, but they come on in. Another night, first couple came in, sat against the wall. He'd come in the door. He said, "Hey, what the hell's wrong with you? The place is empty." "I'm not walking all the way over. Of course, you sat by the bar when I walk so damn far. I'm old." And they got up and walked over there. Yeah, he got to where he just arrogant as hell. People couldn't. It was funny, but it wasn't funny. Those customers, kind of bad. Yeah, we had some dandies.
Well, you've mentioned that one cook for 20-some years. Was that a hard position to fill, or?
Yeah, we always had trouble getting a good cook. Before I owned the place, Howard, one night, this is at the old club, he told me, he said, "I hired a new cook. He'll be in right at starting time." Okay, so I always cook for the help, cooked them a meal before we opened up, so I'm cooking for the help, and this guy walks in and told me who he was, that I just got hired, and he said, "Where's the aprons?" I said, "Bottom drawer over there, get you an apron." So he puts his apron on, he walks over and watches me. Well, back then, it was fried potatoes. I flipped them like a pancake. I didn't turn them in. I just flipped them over, Well, I was flipped a couple skillets of potatoes and had steaks on and shit. And he stood there for about 15 minutes, and I see him take that apron off, fold it up, and put it back in the drawer and come over. He'd asked me, he said, "What do you usually do here?" I said, "I'm a dishwasher." I was probably 15, 16 years old. He walked over to me and said, "Buddy, if you're a dishwasher, you do that shit. I ain't got no business here. I'm out of here." He left. But yeah, it's hard to hire a cook well, for example, I was down at that new casino one night and ordered a steak rare, and I always ordered medium rare, but I'd had trouble getting cooked rare enough, so I decided to order rare. The guy sitting next to me ordered a porterhouse. It's supposed to be a pound and a half, pound and a quarter porterhouse, $94 for just a steak. He wanted it black and blue or Pittsburgh style. So the older gal was waiting on us, and she come in and brought the food and set his down. He said, "Woo!" I think that's cooked too much. That was burnt, a little. Set mine down, and I pushed on. I said, "Oh, hell, mine's well done too." And "Well, you haven't even cut yours." I said, "Hell, I can tell by touching it." "Well, how it's cooked?" And he said, "Well, cut it and see." And I cut out well done all the way through. So she said, "It don't make any difference. Our cook is so good. He picks the best meat and all. You'll enjoy it anyhow, no matter how it's cooked." They wouldn't take it back. It wouldn't do nothing. Just that's it. I think a fillet was 80.
I've never heard anything good yet about that four-corner
It was
restaurant.
Awful. Steak, and I ordered asparagus, and hell, it hadn't been cooked or anything. It was raw. I mean, it was warm, but it was so tough.
Did you tell me you wanted it cooked?
Well, it said on there it was supposed to be broiled or something, but it wasn't. Oh, God. And I kind of bitched a little, and Badecki felt embarrassed and bad about it. He said, "I'm so really sorry. That's not your fault, Doc. You didn't know. We never been here before." But it was bad. I mean, and we went to the Four Corners Steakhouse. It was supposed to be the best, but there wasn't anybody in there. We was the only ones in there.
Well, that's why, because
everybody else
the word
smarter than we were.
spreads. Unless you're from out of town, don't know any different.
Yeah, it was bad, but. Yeah, we had the cook that you're talking about. He was from Chicago, And he came here as the wagon wheel on 3rd Street when it first came. He came here as manager of that. Then he quit there and went over to the Ramada Inn. It was the Boston Connection. He cooked over there for a while. Well, I'd eat there a couple of times. Well, me and Don used to go in there or something for lunch, and he was a good cook. So I talked to him one day. I said, if you ever think about leaving here, let me know. And I'm sure I'll pay you better than what you're making here, and this, that, and other. So he said, I'll remember that. I appreciate it. Okay. So I went in there over 2 or 3 years, and I'd go back and talk to him. Nice guy. Oh, he said, I'm not ready to quit yet. So one day he called me and he said, is that job still open? I said, for you, yeah. He said, I'll be there in 2 weeks. I said, okay. So he came, and first week he worked on a Friday night. He said, hey, he said, my girlfriend is coming up. Could you let her in the back door? Because she's pretty well known around town. And I'll get done cooking. I'll go back and be with her. I said, yeah, okay, I'll watch for her. So I let her in as the boss's wife. And I walked back to the kitchen. I said, you son of a bitch. I said, I've been trying to hire you for 2 years. I didn't have a wife for extra curricular activities for you. I guess I didn't have a chance hiring you. Anyhow, he worked for me the rest of his life. And he had put a boy through college, and he'd been sick a while. He had cancer, and he come to me one day and he said, could you find me an old car for $200 or $300? He said he had a Chevy Tracker convertible, a nice little car he bought new. And I said, well, you got to have a dependable car, Bob. You go take treatments and stuff. I said, yeah, but he said, I'm getting run into a lot of expense. I said, well, you go see what your car's worth and whatever, and I'll buy it off of you, and then you keep it as long as you need it. And if something happens to you, I'll do something with it. You do that? And I said, yeah, no problem. So he wouldn't told me. I think he said it was worth $4,500. So I gave him the $4,500. And you know, it was weird. He lived a good while, but he called me one day and he said, you coming in to see me tonight? And I said, yeah. He said, stop at Pizza Hut, get a meat lover's pizza. He said, the doctor's in, told me I was going to die tonight. I said, Bob, goddammit, you're not going to die tonight. That's what they told me. So he said, I want my last supper. I want a meat lover's pizza.
He's in the hospital or
he's
home?
In St. Anthony's Regional. So I stopped and got him a pizza, and the nurse come in. He said, I want 2 cans of Coke. She said, you're diabetic. You can't have Coke. He said, God damn it. They just in here and told me I'm dying tonight. And it was like 7 o'clock then. And said, well, you can't have Coke. He said, go ask the doctor. I want Coke with this pizza. So she come in a little bit with 2 Cokes. And we sat there and eat pizza, and I was just talking and carrying on. And he said, by the way, I got the title of that car. I said, well, I don't want the title to it. Well, yeah, he said, I'm dying tonight. I said, shit, you're not going to die. Hell, you're in good shape as I am. He was in there taking treatments. He said, I don't care. I'm going to sign the title and give it to you. So he signed the title and gave it to me. And I left there about 8 o'clock. Come up here, and 5 after 10, his brother was down there. Called me and said, hey, Bob just died. I said, don't bullshit me. I said, I know no, I'm serious. I said, he did. He said, he got feeling a little bad, and said, just all of a sudden he died. I said, well, how could that be? And he said, I don't know. So I talked to the doctor and said, well, it was starting to eat on his brain, and we knew it was going to stop his
So
heart.
you're going to say he choked on the pizza you took.
Yeah, I'd have felt good then, wouldn't I? But anyhow, before he died, he was standing out back there. I pulled in and always parked around that end. It was always late getting there. And he said, I've been looking around here. He said, I'd like to be buried right here by that window where I sat there with the broiler. I'd like to be buried right there. I said, well, I don't know whether you can do that or not. He said, well, I'd really like to be buried. He said, I've been here over half my life. He said, I'd like to be there. Well, ask, find out. It's fine with me. Yeah, you can be there, no problem. So I got. He found out he could be put there. So I dug the hole after he died. Well, he didn't want a preacher. He wanted me to preach his funeral. Well, I'm no preacher, you know. I got up and talked about after this gal. Was at a tavern someplace in Clinton, and he met this couple that was in there all the time drinking. And the guy had something wrong with him. He couldn't have an erection. So he told Bob, he said, he said, me and my wife get along fine and everything, but he said, she needs a man. And said, no, I don't want you to steal her from me, but she kind of likes you and everything. But he said, if you'd want to take care of her, I can send her to your house, for a couple hours or whatever. And so Bob said, well, yeah, that'd be all right. So he come in one night and he said, I got a problem. I said, what? He said, that guy died. And he said, I'm not going to be able to get rid of her. I don't know what the hell to do. I don't want to. So at his funeral, I told that story. But anyhow, when I buried him back
there, what story is going to be told at your funeral?
Yeah, I can't wait till I die. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, this boy he'd sent him through college, paid everything for him, done everything, bought him cars, and so he'd left his glasses laying on top of the refrigerator there in the kitchen. So I took his glasses in my shirt pocket, and I took them out. I told his boy, I said, no, if you want his last pair of glasses, that's the last pair he wore. If you want them, there they are. He left them in here. No, I don't want them to just put them on the casket there. So I put them in there. So I said, well, with everybody done, I said a few words of how good a guy he was and this other. And the kid said, I grabbed the shovel, and he said, let me have that shovel. I want to throw the first shovel of dirt in his face. I went ballistic. I wanted to kill that little bastard. God damn, that made me mad. And he never ever come back here. His brother's been back to that gravesite a few times, but that kid has never come back. Lives in Chicago, but he got a good job after he got out of college. He's some head of the street department or something up there, and but he didn't think much of his dad. And I don't know what happened in the divorce or whether that's. And I knew Bob's grandfather worked for Capone. He worked on the slot machines, and he worked on about everybody's slot machines, but he mainly Capone was his big customer. And but yeah, he was from Chicago. He's a heck of a good cook. He can handle, never get excited. Gal from Clinton, you probably know her. She's a politician. She used to know Bob. State senator, got picked up over in Indianapolis for using the bathroom in the
Hellman?
Yeah.
Peeing in the alley?
Yeah, Hellman. Anyhow, she come in one night and she come in the kitchen just giving him hell. God damn it, the cook. Boy, she just giving him hell, just raising hell. He said, you got a kitchen. He grabbed a meat cleaver. I'll split your goddamn head open. He grabbed that meat cleaver and she took off. The very next night, she come back again, order come in the kitchen. Because I always wrote the customer's name on the order, or some of them they did. And he called me in the kitchen. Now, how ignorant is this son of a bitch? He said, I don't, I could do all kinds of shit to her meal. That's how ignorant this bitch is. And, yeah, he said, I'm not going to do it. But he said, by God, I've thought about it. I said, yeah, I cooked for a while, and I thought about it a time or two. What the hell was that guy's name? Oh, damn. He's a friend of Hobart's. Anyhow, him and his wife would come out here, and she's a good-looking gal, but hell, she's 20 years older than me. He accused me of going with her. I said, what the hell? She's an old woman. I don't care. I know what you're doing. You're friendly to her and all this, that, and the other. He kept it up, and I took after him, and he ran in the men's restroom and locked the door. And I just stood there, and Holbert come up and said, "Hey, you got to leave." And I said, "I ain't leaving. I'm not leaving." I said, "Somebody comes out, I'm going to knock the hell out of him." He said, "Well, he's old." I said, "I don't give a damn how old he is. Need to learn. I'll teach him to keep his mouth shut. He don't know what he's talking about." "Well, we're friends. I don't give a shit. Well, you're going to stay here a long time because everybody's gone but him." He had nobody get in the men's room. Somebody wouldn't come out. So finally, Hobart said, "Well, you going to leave? You going to stay here all night or what?" I said, "Well, you going to leave?" He said, "Yeah, I'm going to leave. I'm going home." I said, "Well, I'll stay here for a while, see what happens, because you're going to have to come out of there sometime, unless somebody's died in there or something, maybe had a heart attack, or I don't know." But okay, I beat on the door, he don't answer or nothing. His wife already left. You're going to have to get a cab and go home, but she left. Well, I went in there and sat down. We had one of the short love seat couch type thing in there. I went in there and sat down and went to sleep. When I woke up, he's gone. I don't know how I got out of here. Well, he called a cab. I don't know how I got out, but I went to sleep and somebody's left, got away from me. Never did see him again. And I can't remember, I know his name, but I can't remember names anymore. But I've had a lot of weird stuff happen. Boy, I'll tell you, they do some weird
If you were
things.
the preacher, there have been other occasions where people did little stuff like getting people married and
Yeah,
that weren't preachers.
yeah, I had that to happen to me one time. I thought it was a good friend. Damn, he got me married, and damn me. He was three of us run around together, and we all said, "We're never going to get married. We're never going to get married." Well, first one to get married was Dinkle, Mike gets married first, and we had the party upstairs, remember? And I said, "Well, you said to me, you said, when you go get married?" I said, "Hell, I'll be like him, find a gal with a ex-Jewish husband, pays big child support, and got a nice house, swimming pool. Shit, I'd probably get married too." And you, next thing I know, he's getting married. He gets married, and I'm the only one left. Well, shit, I'm all alone now. All my buddies are married, and I can't do nothing. I'm just laying around. So he decides to marry me, get me married. I got it on the covered bridge up here in Coxville. He comes, and I always thought it was illegal until I tried to get a divorce, and I found by God it was legal. I couldn't.
And Ellie gives us guns.
Yeah,
We're on the covered bridge and it's midnight.
yeah.
And
Getting married in the covered bridge.
hell, I'm thinking all these gals he's been with, that if they knew he was getting married, they're going to come out blazing. So we all have guns. Stand up there. I don't remember standing on a boulder or what the hell they have at the end of the bridge.
Yeah, there's big boulders there.
And I'm going through this beautiful ceremony. Here comes a car, headlights in the distance from the east, wasn't it? Or, which direction?
Yeah, I'm pulled in, headed north.
They kept coming, but they stopped about, I don't know, 50 yards away.
Yeah.
Didn't come any further. So here we're all reaching for our guns, thinking we're going to have a shootout. The women all went and hid. But it ended up this person, it was a gal, wasn't it? She was
it was a guy and a girlfriend, I guess, an older guy, but he was drunk. Him and his girlfriend both drunk. Anyhow, he got out of the car and walked up and said, "What's going on here?" Said, "There's people getting married up there." So he turned around and walked by the car, opened the door, and said, "Some stupid bastards getting married up there." So he backed out and went around, where he went, but he left her. But yeah.
We got the drop on him.
Yeah, we all had I got him these belt buckles that has a real 22 Magnum in a belt buckle. You just push
Hit a button, pops right out.
The gun pulls out. Had him and Dinkle supposed to be guarding me. Of course, I had one on too, but that was my bodyguard for the. Oh yeah.
Well, didn't have very good luck with that marriage, and then I married Bobby.
Yeah.
Didn't have very good. And I married Hamilton upstairs.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was a deal. He married a, what is she?
Korean hooker.
Oh yeah, well, Dick Luger called me and he said, what's this deal with a guy named Hamilton? He asked me to help him get her citizenship. Luger said, I'll look into it. And so Luger called me back and he said, the problem we got is she filled out the application and everything for occupation. She put prostitute and said they won't
so they're not going to let her
yeah.
become a citizen.
Yeah, they wouldn't let her. So he said, I'll get her the papers again and fill them out, but don't put anything like that on them. So old Hamilton marries her, and they're upstairs, and Bobby was running around. He was bussing or waiting tables or something. Anyhow, she gets Bobby on the stairway and says, is there anything place me and you can hide? Said, I'd like to have sex with somebody else because I'm getting married tonight. And Bobby's scared to death. He's all turned pale, and she was a good-looking gal. Had a hell of a body.
She wasn't bad. She was pretty well built.
Yeah.
I think he was afraid of her.
Oh, he come in here one night and told me he had a Hummer, and he said she stuck a knife in all 4 tires. And
flattened because she wanted a set of encyclopedias. Well, she didn't even know English. He said, I'm not going to buy you a set of encyclopedias. Well, that's the only way I'm going to learn, to be smart. He wouldn't do it. He went out and slit every one of his tires. Now, if that had been me, I'd have kicked the shit out of her. But I think she knew jujitsu or something. He was afraid of her.
Here's another deal. He said the sheriff kept coming to the house. She'd call the sheriff. We get in an argument. She'd call the sheriff. They'd come handcuff me, take me, put in jail. I'd stay overnight. So he said it kept happening. The same damn sheriff, same deputy. So he said I had a buddy of mine to check and said, after the deputy put me in jail, he spent the rest of the night at my house with my wife. And so then that's when Bill finally divorced her. His deputy, he put Bill in jail so he could spend the night at his house. That's the end of Marion County. That was a pretty good deal. Well, but yeah, she was.
Well, he was going with her. He met her when he was selling Yellow Page ads.
Yeah, that's right. He was a Yellow Page ad salesman.
And so she ended up giving him a massage in her massage parlor. And he wanted a happy ending.
Yeah, well, he started wearing these bright jackets with all these Korean pictures.
These satin jackets with dragons on them.
Yeah, and all this crap. His wife said, why are you wearing all this foreign stuff? He said, I just kind of like the bright colors and stuff, his dad, old Bill Hamilton. Yeah, he told me one day, he said, God damn, I've been taking care of these guys all my life. I'm leaving them to you. He said, Nat Kemper, young Bill, and I forget who else. He said, I'm leaving them to you. By God, you can take care of them now on. He said, I'm getting old. He was a lawyer for Forest Shear Insurance.
He was
the old man was. And he left Bill a ton of money, $3 or $4 million.
I don't know whether he's taking care of it or not.
No, hell, he buys everything. He had the best lot on Raccoon Lake up there, the best lot on the lake.
Did he sell it finally?
Probably did. I
think he was going to.
Yeah, he was talking about selling, but it was really a nice lot. I mean, young Bill, he was a dandy, boy. Hell of a nice guy. He was funny. God damn that gal. He had a couple kids by his first wife.
Well, they were adopted.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
You probably arranged that. They might have been yours or something. Or, I didn't know. I thought maybe you wanted a nice guy like him to raise them.
No, he got them when they were young.
That's what I figured.
And I don't know if they've had anything to do with him since then.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you, we've had a hell of a time over the years. We've been through so much. Hell, I wonder we're both still alive, I mean, whereas I think
you have some kind of social disease or something.
You probably come closer to getting than I have. And I've been shot and stabbed and all kinds of stuff, but hell, you've survived it all pretty good. Of course, you got that gift of gab. You can talk yourself out of any damn thing. I can't do that. I don't have that gift of gab. I just got to take it, and I can't run anymore, so I got to fight, and it's a hell of a thing, you know. Get this age. And
Well, that was great, guys.
Well, I bet.